from a coaching standpoint, it's like it's the first day on the job, so to speak. I mean, offensively, we've we've got so many positions open. Got some new coaches in here, got some different philosophies, got a lot of open competition, but then some scheme stuff's up for discussion as well. So we're taking it slow, trying to come up with the best ways of doing some specific things. So it feels like we just got here, so to speak, because the staff is new and we got so many different bodies out there, new bodies, young bodies, guys that haven't made plays. So it's exciting to get to work every day and coach, which is awesome. Same thing goes for a defensive standpoint, because we got new guys on that side of the ball. Don't have very many guys that have played in this defense. What Coach Patterson's putting out there is going to be different than what we did last year from a scheme standpoint, from a structural standpoint, from a philosophy standpoint. So it's like day one for those guys as well, which is exciting to watch them implement what they're doing. And then the same thing goes for special teams. We're changing up a lot of different things on what we're doing. Coach DeForest is one of the better ones in the country, and is putting some new things together and trying to give a lot of guys an opportunity to play. So really all three sides of the ball, it's pretty fresh, and it's pretty energetic. The guys are very attentive. They're very eager. They're very motivated, and I see the same thing from a coaching standpoint as well. So we're excited about getting to work every day. We're excited about coaching these guys, and I think it'll be a fun, productive spring going forward. So with that, I'll take some questions. But again, just with 2 non-padded practices under our belt, there's not a tremendous amount to report. But we'll take some questions.
Quarterback,
yeah.
Personality-wise, with the new coaches coming in, could you talk about that a little bit? What they bring, that practices with them, personality, style-wise, how that's going with them out there?
It's good. It's coaching changes are obviously part of the profession that you got to learn to deal with, and regardless of what the reason is for a coaching change, you always try to turn it into a positive for your program. And with the guys that we've brought in here, they all bring something different to the table. If you look at the guys that we've hired, I mean, they're all pretty excited about being here for a variety of reasons. But we obviously did try to locate guys that wanted to be here, that were eager and energetic about being able to join the staff, come to work every day in a winning program. The morale around the halls are pretty good, I think, because we just got a bunch of guys that are excited about the opportunity to be here, and then they all bring something different to the table. They were all hired for specific reasons, and they're motivated for a variety of reasons, but the biggest thing is meshing with the staff and bringing ideas and having a voice and bringing some specific things to the table. So excited about each and every one of them.
When you hired them, were you looking for guys that were more than familiar with the program?
Well, they got to go hand in hand. You take a guy like Brian Mitchell. I mean, he didn't know much about the program, but based on my familiarity with him, I knew he could coach the heck out of these corners, and you can see a difference in what our corners are doing right now. Again, it's non-padded, but just alignment and pre-snap stuff, and moving around, and having confidence, and walking around the halls a little bit different. And Coach Gibson's been here before. Lonnie's been here before. Juwan's been here before. So they do understand how things work, and they understand the inner workings of Mountaineer Nation. But I'm going to run my program a little bit different than some of my previous, head coaches have done it. So, they had to feel good about that, and then I had to feel good about guys that wanted to bring something different to the table, understand how things worked around here, but also have the knowledge of being able to coach up the specific position the way we wanted them to coach the specific position. So, can't say enough about how everybody's meshing and the amount of work and the amount of excitement and the energy that's permeating through the building, but also amongst our players as well.
What exactly attracted you to Coach Crook? I mean, what kind of style and?
I've never worked with them before, so a lot of it was going on word of mouth. But I got some respect for a guy that, coached Division II football for 10 years. I grew up a small college coach and was in Division II and Division III for several years before getting an opportunity to be at this level. And he wanted to be at this level, which is why him and his wife took a graduate assistant job after being a full-time coach in Division II for 10 years, because he wanted to be at this level. And going to Harvard, which is a good program, and coaching the O-line for a long time, I knew what they were doing offensively, and it looked good. And then getting to go to Stanford to have that type of a mentality from a toughness standpoint to success from a program standpoint. He had a good job out there, just wanted to come home. So, we know what we want to do offensively, but I'm never above getting somebody's input on how we can make it a little bit better, and he brings something to the table that is a little bit different than what I've done in the past, which is something that interests me.
Juwan had obviously left before you guys got here as a staff, but I know that he had been on the field at the Orange Bowl. I mean, you were familiar with him through recruiting, I would assume. How did you become aware of him and his desire to come here and become a teacher?
Well, he's got a degree from here, and he played here, so he's familiar with it. We needed a South Florida recruiter. Obviously, he's potentially one of the best ones in the country from a South Florida recruiting standpoint. With that said, he's still got to get his hands. He's got to get his hands on running backs, and he's got to coach the heck out of them. Which, being a former quarterback, I had to do a little homework to see if he was, if he was capable of doing that. And obviously, having 3 years at Marshall, they're in a passing offense. They have good backs. They've had success. Brought him up, talked ball with them for a while, and was sold immediately.
What's the most important part of spring for you guys? I mean, obviously you're non-padded right now and not putting too much stock into what you're seeing in the early stages. But when do you start paying attention to what's going on?
Well, we will. Yeah, we pay attention. I mean, every practice. I mean, it's not. We're not going to go out there and just go through the motions. There's going to be a specific reason for going out there. I mean, it's very similar to what it was 2 years ago, when we were just offensively, we're just kind of feeling our way and just trying to implement some stuff. I mean, last spring was the same installation process with experienced guys. So, we got a plan, and we're going to just try to play a whole bunch of football and try to evaluate guys and try to put them in position to be successful and assemble some sort of a depth chart. But the depth chart will change once we add 20 more people in the summer. So. Get a bunch of film together and then watch it between now and summer and see what we got to do to build on that going into camp. Now on all three sides of the ball, not just from an offensive standpoint, but all three sides.
You guys do preach consistency in terms of the way you teach offense. Shannon said you weren't going to make any concessions, in that regard this year, that spring practice this year is going to be just like it was last year with all the experienced guys. But do you have to adjust in any way just because you don't have the 6 or 7 veterans that are entrenched like you did last year?
We won't change any. It won't look the same. It won't look the same. But, everybody gets all up in arms about, oh, my gosh, how are these guys going to play football because they don't have a couple of guys that are going to get drafted and move on to the NFL. Well, it happens every year. Every different program across the country, you lose people and you try to move forward and all that. And for me personally, I'm excited about doing it. I mean, as good as Gino, Tavon, Studman, JD, Sean, Joey, Jeff, Josh, I mean, those guys were all good football players, but they weren't getting to get a whole lot better if they came back for another year. I mean, Studman was in that boat, and, he wasn't going to get a whole lot better if he came back for another year. They just hit that plateau to where, look, this is what you're getting out of them. and it's time for them to move on, and it gives other kids opportunities, young guys opportunities, to where they say, now I'm the guy, I better step up and I better start playing a lot better than I did the previous year, and that just naturally happens. Guys get older, they get more reps, but then also the burden is on their shoulders, and then they become players, so looking forward to seeing who these guys are going to be that say, these specific people are gone, it's time for me to step up and play. Last year on the defensive side of the ball, that was Isaiah Bruce and Carl Joseph. We didn't have enough around them, but they had to be the ones that stepped up, and even though they were freshmen, they were guys that stepped up. So we need a whole bunch of people to do that, and you got to graduate some people in order for younger guys to do that.
Sorry, go ahead.
Did you see anybody, I know it's too early for the leadership stuff necessarily, but I mean, somebody who maybe just seems like they have a different personality, more outgoing, more stepping up to the challenge of being the guy, or even just excitable or something at practice? Anybody who's done that so far? No? I'll ask you in a couple weeks then. If
you would, please. Will Clark. Will Clark's an older guy. You're going to obviously rely on him. Shaq Rao is one of our best leaders we have. Isaiah Bruce is going to get older and do a good job at that. Carl Joseph. Guys that were thrown into the fire last year defensively are going to be a whole lot better now. Offensively, we're at that point where, did we know Isaiah Bruce was going to be our second leading tackler, or Carl Joseph be our leading tackler last year in spring? Well, heck, we didn't know that. So, we know those guys are going to be next year for the defense. What are the offensive guys? I don't know. Couldn't tell you. Q Spain is doing a good job from a leadership standpoint because he's older and he's played a lot of ball. Other than that, we don't have anybody.
Understanding that
we will, but we don't.
Understanding that you're not altering the structure of the way you practice, then is there, despite that, just a different vibe, just because that is, like, as you mentioned, those guys are the guys who are having to be vocal now as opposed to the guys who were here last year? Does it lend itself to a different feeling?
I don't know. It's similar when Tavon was out at practice today. We got a little of that from him. He started chirping, but not yet. It's just, I don't know. I don't know if I understand your question, to be honest with you. We're going to go out there and we're going to have a script and we're going to have a schedule and we're going to coach and we're going to practice, and throughout the course of time, guys are going to step up.
How much progress do you hope to make at finding a center in the spring as compared to kind of kicking it into August?
Yeah, we need to find one. And, we have Stone, the junior college guy, coming in. But you don't want to rely on a junior college guy that hasn't taken a snap before August 1 on being your guy, So Tyler Orlowski looks good there from a snap standpoint. He can move. He's smart. He's confident. His snaps are tremendous. Pat's Eggers a smart guy, but his snaps are all over the place right now. So, that's high priority when it comes to trying to figure out who our best one is right now, and then open up that competition again in August to see which one's the best one and which one's the second best one.